Michael had always dreamed of owning a home of his own. He imagined a place where he could create memories, fill rooms with laughter, and make everything exactly as he wanted. After years of saving money and searching for the right place, he finally found a small old house on the edge of town. The house looked worn, with faded paint, broken fences, and a garden that had grown wild. Many people had passed it by because it seemed too old and unkempt. But Michael saw something special in it. He saw the chance to turn it into a beautiful home. On the day he got the keys, Michael felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The air smelled faintly of dust and something old. As he stepped inside, he noticed that the wooden floors creaked under his weight. The walls were painted a dull yellow, with cracks in some places. Sunlight came through the dusty windows, creating patterns on the floor. Michael could almost hear the house whispering its stories to him. He smiled to himself, imagining the work he would do to bring it back to life. The first week was spent cleaning. Michael removed old furniture left behind by the previous owners. A broken sofa, a small wooden chair with one leg shorter than the others, and a dusty cabinet full of papers were all cleared out. He found some old books, yellowed photographs, and a few letters tied together with a string. Michael did not pay much attention to them yet. He just wanted the house to feel empty and ready for renovation. While cleaning, Michael noticed that one of the walls in the living room felt different from the others. When he tapped it lightly, it did not sound hollow like the other walls. There was something solid behind it. At first, he thought it might be an extra layer of plaster or an old support beam. But the thought of a hidden space grew in his mind. Michael had always been curious about old houses and loved discovering secrets. The idea that this wall could hide something made his heart beat faster. Michael decided that during the weekend, he would start some minor renovations in the living room. He wanted to see what was behind the strange wall. On Saturday morning, he put on his gloves, wore a mask, and brought his hammer, chisel, and flashlight. The house was quiet, except for the sound of birds outside and the creaking floorboards. Michael began breaking the plaster carefully. He chipped away slowly, making sure not to damage anything that might be behind it. At first, only small pieces of plaster fell into the bucket. Michael felt a small thrill as he worked. He imagined finding an old cabinet, maybe a hidden shelf, or even some forgotten treasure. After about an hour, his hammer hit something hard. It was not wood or plaster. Michael paused and looked closely. He realized that the wall was hiding something unusual. He could not tell exactly what it was, but it seemed like a solid metal surface. Michael wiped the sweat from his forehead and shined his flashlight into the opening he had made. The light revealed a small dark space behind the wall. The room was narrow and barely tall enough to stand in. Dust covered the floor, and the air smelled old and musty. Michael stepped closer, his heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. He reached inside and felt the metal surface again. It was cold and heavy. As Michael looked around the small hidden room, he noticed stacks of objects carefully arranged in corners. There were old boxes, some tied with ropes, and other objects he could not immediately identify. His curiosity pushed him forward. He picked up a small metal box and examined it. The box was locked, but the lock was rusty. Michael used a screwdriver to pry it open. Inside, he found letters, old photographs, and some papers with handwriting that looked very old. The photographs showed people in old-fashioned clothing, smiling for the camera. Michael did not recognize any of them. Some letters were written in cursive and spoke about family matters, land, and money. Others hinted at disagreements and secrets that were meant to be hidden. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. The room was more than just storage. It had been a place where someone wanted to hide things for a long time. A sudden noise from upstairs made Michael jump. The house was supposed to be empty. He strained his ears and heard the faint sound of something moving. His hands trembled as he turned toward the wall, shining his flashlight around the room. The hidden space suddenly felt dangerous. Michael realized that he might not fully understand what had been hidden here. The objects, the smell, and the dark corners created an uneasy feeling he could not ignore. Michael reached for his phone. He knew that calling someone might be the safest thing to do. As he dialed 911, he felt his heart pounding. He explained quickly that he had found a hidden room in his house and described what he saw inside. The operator told him to stay calm and wait for the police. Michael hung up and stepped away from the wall, keeping his eyes on the opening. The house, which had felt like a dream in the morning, now seemed to hold a serious secret. He thought about the previous owners. Who had built this hidden room? Why had they gone to so much trouble to hide it? Michael could only guess. He also realized that some of the letters and papers might explain more, but it was not safe to touch them until help arrived. The hidden room made the house feel alive in a way he had never imagined. It was as if the walls themselves were holding secrets from the past, waiting for someone to discover them. Michael took deep breaths to calm himself. He knew he could not leave the room alone, but he also knew it was important to stay safe. The police would arrive soon, and then he could explain everything. Until then, he watched the hidden room, thinking about the life that had been hidden there and the stories it might tell. The house that he had bought for hope and happiness had suddenly become a place full of mystery and tension. By the time the police arrived, Michael felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He was ready to answer their questions, but part of him was curious about the room's secrets. The day he had expected to spend renovating his new home had turned into a moment that would change his life. He realized that the house he had chosen so carefully had more history than he could ever imagine, and he was now a part of its story. Michael stood in his living room, watching the police officers move carefully around his house. The hidden room behind the wall had turned what he thought would be a simple renovation into a serious situation. He had never imagined that his dream of a new home would lead to a moment like this. The officers spoke in calm, measured tones as they examined the living room and the small hidden room. Detective Harris, a tall man with a kind but serious expression, knelt beside the opening. He shined his flashlight into the dark space and studied the objects carefully. "Michael, you did the right thing by calling us," he said. "This looks like a hidden storage space that hasn't been touched for years. We need to check it thoroughly." Michael nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and nervousness. He stepped back and let the officers take control. One officer, a younger woman named Officer Reed, carefully removed the small metal boxes and old papers from the hidden room. She wore gloves and moved with precision. Michael noticed that some of the papers were very old, yellowed, and fragile. "Some of these items might be important for our investigation," Officer Reed explained. "We will need to catalog everything and see if any of it is connected to old cases in this area. It looks like someone went to great lengths to hide this space." Michael felt a chill. The thought that someone had deliberately built this room to hide things made him realize that he had stumbled upon something serious. He had imagined finding an old treasure or maybe furniture left behind, but a hidden room designed to keep secrets was much different. Detective Harris continued inspecting the walls. He tapped on different sections and looked for other hidden spaces. "Sometimes old houses have more than one secret," he said. "It is possible that the previous owners wanted to hide multiple things. We will need to be thorough." Michael's curiosity grew despite his nervousness. He wanted to know who had hidden these items and why. He asked Detective Harris if he could explain what the objects meant. The detective shook his head gently. "It is too early to tell, Michael. Some of these items could be just old family documents, but others could be connected to crimes from many years ago. We will know more after we examine them in detail." While the officers worked, Michael's mind wandered to the previous owners of the house. Who were they? Why had they left the house without telling anyone about this secret room? He remembered the old photographs he had seen in the metal box. Some showed men and women smiling for the camera, while others showed groups of people standing near the edge of a forest. The letters hinted at disputes over land and property, but Michael could not understand the full story. Officer Reed carefully opened one of the larger boxes. Inside were old tools, a few pieces of jewelry, and more papers. Some of the letters mentioned names that Michael did not recognize, but one name kept appearing repeatedly. "It looks like these letters were all from one family," she said. They may have hidden this room to keep certain documents safe from others. Some of the writing is very old, possibly over 50 years. Detective Harris listened carefully and nodded. Hidden rooms like this were often used to protect valuables or important papers. It was not uncommon for families to build secret spaces to keep things safe during difficult times. We will need to check historical records to see if this family had any legal disputes or problems that would make them hide items. Michael felt a mixture of fascination and unease. He had never been involved in anything like this before. He had bought a house to start a new chapter in his life, not to uncover old mysteries. Yet now, he could not stop thinking about the hidden room and the stories it contained. The officers continued their work, moving carefully so as not to damage anything. They photographed each object and documented the position of every box and piece of paper. Michael watched, noticing small details he had not seen before. There was a small diary tucked into one corner, bound with a leather strap. The pages were brittle, but the handwriting was neat. Michael wondered what secrets it might reveal. Detective Harris picked up the diary and examined it. "This is interesting," he said. "It looks like a personal record of someone who lived here many years ago. If the writing is correct, it could give us a timeline of events and maybe explain why the room was hidden." "Michael, did you notice any other strange things in the house?" Michael thought for a moment. "Well, some of the walls felt thicker than normal. And the living room wall I broke through seemed completely solid. I didn't notice anything else unusual, but now I'm wondering if there are more hidden spaces." The detective nodded. "We will check every wall and floor carefully. Sometimes houses like this were built with multiple secret areas. It is better to be safe and examine everything now." Hours passed as the officers worked. Michael remained nearby, observing their careful methods. He felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Part of him wanted to explore the room himself, but he knew it was safer to let the police handle it. The mystery of the hidden room and its contents was growing more intriguing with every moment. Finally, Detective Harris stood and looked at Michael. "We have documented everything for now. We will take the boxes and papers to the station for further examination. We may also contact a historian or an expert in old houses to help us understand the significance of this hidden space." "Michael, thank you for calling us right away. You did the right thing." Michael nodded, feeling both relieved and a little disappointed. He had hoped to explore the hidden room further, but he understood that it was important to let the experts handle it. As the officers prepared to leave, he took one last look at the opening in the wall. The secret space now seemed even more mysterious than before. When the police left, Michael returned to the living room. He could still feel the thrill of discovery mixed with the unease of not knowing what the hidden room truly meant. He sat down on the edge of his sofa and thought about the history of the house. He wondered about the people who had lived there, the choices they had made, and the reasons they had built a secret room. Michael decided to spend the evening planning his next steps. He would continue renovating the house, but he knew that the hidden room had changed everything. It was no longer just a home, it was a place full of history and secrets. He felt a sense of responsibility to respect the mystery and to learn as much as he could about the hidden space. The next day, Michael called a local historian he had met during his search for the house. He explained the situation and arranged a visit. The historian was intrigued and promised to examine the house and its hidden room carefully. Michael felt a sense of hope. Perhaps the secrets of the room could be understood, and the mystery could finally be solved. That night, as Michael lay in his new home, he could not stop thinking about the hidden room. The excitement of discovery, the fear of the unknown, and the desire to understand the past filled his mind. He knew that his life had changed. The house that he had bought to begin a new chapter had revealed a story older than he could have imagined. Michael fell asleep, dreaming not only of renovations and furniture but also of the hidden room and the secrets it held. The next morning, Michael woke early. He could not stop thinking about the hidden room in his house. Even though the police had taken the boxes and papers, the memory of the dark space and the objects inside stayed in his mind. He dressed quickly, ate a small breakfast, and drove to the local historian's office. The historian, a kind man named Mr. Collins, had years of experience studying old houses and documents. Michael hoped Mr. Collins could explain the mysteries hidden within his home. When Michael arrived, Mr. Collins greeted him warmly. "Michael, thank you for bringing me here," he said. "I have been curious ever since I heard about your discovery. A hidden room like this is rare, and the objects inside may tell us a story about the people who lived here." They drove together back to the house. The morning sunlight fell on the peeling paint and overgrown garden, giving the house an almost magical quality. Michael felt both excitement and nervousness. He did not know what the day would reveal, but he hoped it would answer some of the questions that had been haunting him. Once inside, Mr. Collins examined the living room and the opening in the wall. He ran his hands along the edges and tapped lightly on the wall. "This was built very carefully," he said. "The previous owners wanted this room to remain hidden. The thickness of the wall, the placement of the objects, and the careful organization all suggest someone planned this for a very long time." Michael nodded. "It feels strange knowing someone spent so much effort hiding a room. I keep wondering why." Mr. Collins smiled thoughtfully. In older times, families often hid valuables or important documents for safety. Sometimes it was to protect property during disputes, sometimes to hide items during emergencies. But the fact that this room was so well hidden tells me there is a story here waiting to be discovered. They returned to the objects the police had collected. Mr. Collins carefully opened each box and examined the papers and photographs. Michael watched closely. Some of the photographs showed groups of people in old clothing standing in front of houses and forests. Others were portraits of individuals who appeared serious and important. The letters were written in careful handwriting, mentioning family names, land ownership, and disagreements with neighbors. "This is fascinating," Mr. Collins said. "Some of these letters suggest the family wanted to keep certain decisions private. They may have built this room to hide sensitive information or belongings. We will need to study the handwriting and compare it to historical records to see who these people were." Michael felt a mixture of curiosity and nervousness. The hidden room was no longer just a surprise in his home. It had become a puzzle, a story from the past he had to understand. He carefully handled one of the photographs. It showed a man standing near a river, holding a small box in his hands. Michael felt a shiver. Could this be the very box hidden behind the wall for so many years? Mr. Collins nodded. "It is possible. People often photographed important moments in their lives. That box may have contained something very valuable or meaningful. If we can trace the family history, we may discover why it was hidden here." As they studied the objects, Michael noticed a small notebook. Its cover was plain, but it looked well preserved. He opened it gently and saw neat handwriting on every page. The notebook contained notes about the house, the land, and the people who had lived there. Some pages described daily life, while others hinted at family disagreements, secret meetings, and important decisions that had to be kept hidden. "This notebook is very important," Mr. Collins said. "It may be the key to understanding why the room exists." The writer carefully recorded information that could not be shared with others. It seems the family wanted to preserve this knowledge for future generations. Michael leaned closer. One passage caught his attention. It described a hidden chest filled with documents and valuable items, meant to protect the family from those who might try to take their property. The handwriting suggested urgency and secrecy. Michael's heart raced. Could this be the very reason the room had been built? Was the hidden chest still inside, or had it already been removed? While Michael and Mr. Collins examined the papers, Michael's phone rang. It was Officer Reed from the police department. She explained that the objects had been checked for any immediate safety concerns, and nothing dangerous had been found. She also mentioned that the historical documents might be connected to old property records, and the department would work with Mr. Collins to verify their origin. Michael felt a small wave of relief. It was comforting to know that the authorities were helping him understand the discovery. After several hours of examining the objects, Mr. Collins suggested a plan. "Michael, the hidden room itself is still very important. We should study it more carefully. There may be additional clues or items that were missed. I propose we inspect the room together, slowly and carefully. We will document everything and make sure it is safe." Michael agreed. They returned to the living room and prepared to enter the hidden space. Michael grabbed a flashlight and gloves. Mr. Collins followed with his notebook and camera. As they stepped inside, Michael felt the familiar musty smell. The walls seemed to close in slightly, but the space felt more alive than ever. They moved slowly, shining the flashlight on every corner. The small metal boxes were gone, but some objects remained. There were old tools, a wooden crate, and a few personal items. Mr. Collins photographed everything and took detailed notes. Michael noticed markings on the wall, faint letters scratched into the plaster. They seemed like initials and dates. "These markings may indicate important events or people," Mr. Collins said. "They could be a timeline or a way to remember certain moments." Families sometimes marked walls in secret rooms to record events that could not be written elsewhere. Michael felt a strong connection to the past. The hidden room, the boxes, the notebook, and the markings all told a story of a family who had lived here long before him. He realized that the house was not just a home, it was a piece of history waiting to be understood. As they finished documenting the room, Michael and Mr. Collins stepped outside to take a break. Michael looked at the house with new eyes. It was no longer just an old, run-down building. It was a place full of stories, secrets, and life. He felt a sense of responsibility to preserve its history and understand its mysteries. Mr. Collins smiled. "Michael, this is only the beginning. We have learned a lot today, but there is more to discover. The hidden room, the objects, and the documents all tell a story. We will continue our research, and one day, you will know the full history of this house and the people who lived here." Michael nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and determination. He knew that renovating his new home had become more than just fixing walls and floors. It had become a journey into the past, a chance to uncover secrets that had been hidden for generations. That evening, Michael sat in the living room, thinking about the day. The hidden room had revealed more than he expected. It had shown him that every house has a story, and sometimes, those stories are waiting for someone brave enough to discover them. Michael smiled, knowing that the adventure was just beginning, and that the house he had chosen held more mysteries than he could have ever imagined. The following morning, Michael woke with a sense of purpose. The hidden room in his house had already revealed so many secrets, yet he felt that the most important discoveries were still waiting. He had arranged to meet Mr. Collins again, and together, they planned to study the room more closely and examine the remaining objects that the police had not yet reviewed. Michael's curiosity was stronger than ever. When Mr. Collins arrived, he carried several tools and supplies to make the inspection more thorough. There were gloves, flashlights, measuring tape, and a camera to document every detail. "Michael, I think today we will uncover more about the family who built this room," Mr. Collins said. "We may even find something that explains why the room was so carefully hidden." Michael nodded. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as they approached the living room wall where the hidden space was located. The hole in the wall, now carefully reinforced, awaited them. Michael held the flashlight as Mr. Collins crouched near the opening, inspecting the edges. "From what I can see," Mr. Collins said, "the hidden room was not only for storage. It was designed to preserve something very important. The way the objects were organized, the hidden markings, and the strength of the wall all suggest that whoever built this wanted it to remain secret no matter what." Michael stepped into the room carefully, shining his light on the floor and walls. The musty smell was familiar, but today it felt less intimidating and more like a place full of history. They noticed some small items that the police had left behind, a few tools, a wooden crate, and several unmarked papers. Mr. Collins picked up a paper and examined it. These appear to be ledgers or notes about property and land. They are old, but they seem valuable for understanding the story of this house. Michael leaned closer to the wooden crate. He pushed it gently and realized it was heavier than it looked. With Mr. Collins' help, they lifted it carefully and opened it. Inside, they found more documents, a small bundle of letters, and something Michael had not expected, a folded map. The map was yellowed and fragile, showing a large area of land surrounding the house. Lines and symbols marked certain spots, and some areas were labeled with names he did not recognize. "This map is fascinating," Mr. Collins said. "It may indicate property owned by the family and locations of interest. The markings suggest they wanted to record something important about the land. Perhaps they hid objects or stored information in multiple places, not just in this room." Michael's eyes widened. "Do you think there could be more hidden spaces in the house or the property?" he asked. Mr. Collins nodded thoughtfully. "It is possible. Families who build hidden rooms often plan carefully. They may leave clues in writing or maps to guide someone who knows the secret. This map could be a guide, showing locations connected to the family's history." Michael felt a thrill of anticipation. He carefully unfolded the map, showing it to Mr. Collins. They examined every detail, noting trees, rivers, and small buildings marked with symbols. Some areas were crossed out, while others had small stars next to them. Michael wondered if the stars marked places where the family stored more secrets. As they studied the map, Michael noticed a small piece of paper tucked beneath the bundle of letters in the crate. It was fragile and written in delicate cursive. He opened it carefully and read aloud. "To the one who finds this room, you hold the key to our family's history. Protect it and seek the truth. The room was built to hide what was most precious." Michael felt a shiver. The message confirmed what he had suspected. This hidden space had been created with purpose, and the people who built it wanted their story to be remembered safely. He looked at Mr. Collins. "This is incredible." The family left instructions for someone to discover the room, but they wanted it to remain hidden until the right person came along. Mr. Collins nodded. "Yes, and it also explains the care in how the room was built. Every detail, from the thick walls to the placement of objects, was intentional. The family clearly valued privacy and wanted to ensure their legacy survived." Michael and Mr. Collins spent the rest of the morning cataloging the documents, letters, and maps. Michael felt as if he were walking through the family's life, discovering their worries, hopes, and plans. Some letters spoke about challenges with neighbors, disputes over property, and careful arrangements to protect the family's land. Others mentioned celebrations, achievements, and personal milestones. Each item added a piece to the puzzle of the house's history. Around noon, Michael suggested they take a break. They stepped outside into the garden, where the sun was warm and the air smelled of fresh grass. Michael looked at the house differently now. It was no longer just an old building in need of repairs. It was a place full of stories, mysteries, and life. He realized that his work as a homeowner would not just be renovations, but also preserving history. After their break, they returned inside to focus on the map. Michael's eyes caught a mark near the edge of the property, where the garden ended and a small forest began. "This area is just beyond the back fence," he said. "Do you think the map is showing something hidden there?" Mr. Collins studied it closely. "It is possible. The family may have stored additional objects or documents outside the house. Sometimes hidden rooms were only one part of a larger plan. They may have created a small safe location in the woods or buried items to protect them." Michael's mind raced with possibilities. He had always wanted a home with character, but he never imagined finding a hidden room and a map that could lead to even more secrets. He knew they would need to explore the area carefully and document everything. This discovery was turning his simple renovation into a full investigation of the house and the property. They continued studying the map for several hours, noting every detail and marking possible areas of interest. Michael realized that the hidden room was only the beginning. The family's story extended beyond the walls of the house and into the land surrounding it. He felt a strong connection to the people who had lived there, as if they were guiding him to uncover their history. By evening, Michael and Mr. Collins had catalogued all the items from the hidden room, studied the map, and recorded their findings. Michael felt exhausted but thrilled. The house had revealed a secret world he never knew existed, and he was now part of it. He knew that tomorrow they would begin exploring the areas marked on the map, searching for more clues and learning more about the family's life and intentions. As Michael locked the front door and looked back at the house, he smiled. Renovating his home had turned into a journey into the past, a chance to uncover history that had been hidden for decades. He felt a mix of excitement, respect, and determination. The hidden room had changed everything. The house was no longer just a place to live. It was a place of discovery, and Michael knew that the most extraordinary secrets were still waiting for him. The next morning, Michael woke early, filled with determination. The hidden room, the letters, and the map had revealed so much, but the greatest mystery still waited. Michael had decided that today he would explore the area marked on the map near the edge of his property, just beyond the garden where the small forest began. He packed his backpack with gloves, flashlight, notebook, and a camera to record everything. Mr. Collins arrived shortly after, bringing additional supplies, a small metal detector, a measuring tape, and a magnifying glass. "Michael, this area seems to be where the family may have hidden something important outside the house," he said. "We must proceed carefully. The map gives clues, but we cannot be certain until we explore and document everything." Michael felt a rush of excitement. He had never imagined that owning a house could lead him to uncover a hidden world of secrets stretching beyond the walls of his home. Together, they walked toward the edge of the garden where the forest began. The trees were tall and thick, with sunlight filtering through the leaves and casting patterned shadows on the ground. Using the map, they marked the first spot with a small red flag. Michael knelt and began clearing leaves and small branches to inspect the area. He noticed that the ground seemed slightly uneven, as if it had been disturbed long ago. Mr. Collins used the metal detector, slowly sweeping it over the soil. A soft beep caught their attention. Michael cleared more of the ground, and soon they discovered a flat stone partially hidden by grass. Michael lifted the stone carefully. Beneath it was a small metal box, similar in design to the ones found in the hidden room. The box was old and slightly rusted, but still intact. Michael felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement as he pried it open with his hands and a small tool. Inside, they found bundles of letters tied with string, old photographs, and a small, intricately carved wooden chest. "This is incredible," Mr. Collins said, examining the chest closely. "It appears the family stored their most precious items here, away from the house, to ensure they would survive over time. This is the heart of their secret." Michael opened the wooden chest carefully. Inside, they discovered several small objects, a gold pocket watch, a silver locket, a key, and a small bundle of old documents sealed with wax. The documents contained information about land ownership, family lineage, and instructions for preserving the family's history. Michael could hardly believe what he was seeing. "These objects are not only valuable, but they also tell a story," Mr. Collins said. "The pocket watch may have been passed down through generations. The locket could contain a family portrait. And the documents show how carefully this family protected their property and history. They wanted someone trustworthy to find this, and it seems that you were meant to discover it, Michael." Michael felt a wave of awe and respect. He carefully handled each item, imagining the people who had hidden them. He could picture the family, planning in secret to protect their possessions, worrying about the future, and leaving clues for someone to uncover generations later. The hidden room in his house, the map, and now the chest in the forest all formed a complete story, waiting for the right person to piece it together. As they examined the letters, Michael noticed that some were written in a way that addressed the future. "To the one who finds these," one letter began, "You are the keeper of our story. Preserve it carefully. Learn from it, and honor those who came before you. The room, the map, and the chest were created to protect what is most precious. You are now part of our history." Michael felt a deep sense of responsibility. He realized that this discovery was bigger than just a hidden room or old documents. It was a family's history, their legacy, and their trust placed in him. He looked at Mr. Collins. "I cannot believe all of this has been hidden here for so long. It feels like I have been given a chance to connect with the past in a way I never imagined." Mr. Collins nodded. Yes, Michael. This is a rare opportunity. Many families leave behind stories that are lost to time. But this family planned carefully. They created a journey for someone to follow, and you have done it with respect and care. You are now the guardian of their legacy. Michael carefully packed the chest and documents into his backpack. They planned to return to the house and secure everything safely. Once inside, he cleaned the living room and placed the chest on a table in the hidden room, now ready for proper preservation. He felt a sense of completion. The mystery that had begun with a single wall in the living room had now led to a full understanding of the family's careful planning and dedication to preserving their history. Over the next few days, Michael worked to document everything he had found. He photographed the objects, catalogued the documents, and wrote notes about their significance. He even created a small display in the hidden room, arranging the items to tell the story of the family and their careful efforts to protect their possessions. Michael felt proud and honored to have been part of this journey. One evening, as he sat in the living room, Michael reflected on the past weeks. The house that had seemed ordinary at first had revealed a hidden world of secrets, history, and human stories. The hidden room, the map, and the chest had taught him that even in ordinary places, extraordinary stories could be waiting to be discovered. He smiled, realizing that renovating his house had become more than a simple home improvement project. It had been an adventure into history, a journey of discovery, and a connection to people who had lived long before him. The family who had hidden the room and the chest had trusted that their story would be preserved, and Michael had fulfilled that trust. The following weekend, Mr. Collins returned for one last visit. He examined the items and documents once more. "Michael, you have done an amazing job preserving everything," he said. "This story will now be remembered, and the family's efforts to protect their legacy will not be forgotten. You have honored them and made sure their history survives." Michael felt a warm sense of satisfaction. The house had tested him, surprised him, and led him to discover a story he never expected. He realized that his life had changed because of this hidden room. He had found excitement, mystery, and history in the place he now called home. As Michael stood in the living room, looking at the carefully preserved items in the hidden room, he felt a strong connection to the past. He knew that this home would always be more than a house. It was a place of stories, secrets, and discoveries. He smiled, thinking about the adventure that had begun with a single wall. The hidden room, the map, and the chest had transformed his house into a treasure of history. Michael felt a sense of pride and gratitude. He had uncovered a family's story, preserved their legacy, and honored their trust. The house was now filled with life, purpose, and memories waiting to be made. Michael knew that in the years to come, he would continue to care for the house, the hidden room, and the history it held. He understood that sometimes the greatest discoveries are hidden in ordinary places, waiting for someone curious and brave enough to uncover them. And he was glad that he had been that person. For Michael, the journey had begun with a single wall, a hammer, and a sense of curiosity. It had led him to uncover a hidden room, a map, and a chest that told the story of a family long gone but never forgotten. He had found history, mystery, and meaning in his new home. And as he looked around, he knew that every corner of the house held stories still waiting to be discovered, and he was ready for them.